Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch. Thank you for joining us for our legislative fireside chats. And it's my distinct honor and pleasure to have my dear friend, Representative Denny Zent, with us this morning. Denny, you know, I have been up in Angola and have stayed with you so many times that it's now become my second home in Indiana. But I know the story, but perhaps other people don't know the story. How did you end up as a state representative? How did you get involved in public service? Because you are an incredible public servant.
Well, thank you for that. To cover what you previously mentioned, grandchildren always come up and say, is the Lieutenant Governor's room busy this weekend? Because when they come up to the lake, they love to stay. But I became involved in politics probably mainly because of the influence of my wife, Wendy. She was the daughter of the mayor for 10 years in Angola. And she is a Lugar Series grad and then a Leadership Forum grad. I was a endodontist, very happy. That's root canal specialist for people who don't know. Very happy doing my profession. And she encouraged me more and more to get involved. And I did. And through her involvement with the American Dental Association's National PAC Board, she spent a lot of time in Washington, where I would tag along just for enjoyment. And I got hooked on it. And then when a local representative decided to retire, Dick Dodge, who you know very well, fortunately recently passed away, but Dick he was an icon in our area, and he'd mentioned to me that I'd been involved and maybe I'd be interested. At the advice of my wife, I basically decided that was something. I always felt, why does the legislature do what they do when it just seems like they should, in some areas, healthcare, know better? Well, maybe you should step up, add that expertise, and the reception down here has been terrific. I mean, we have healthcare issues, dental especially. People come to me both sides of the aisle, and we're fortunate now that we have Dr. Barrett and Dr. Fleming also on board, and a number of other allied health people. So we've got some expertise down here, which is kudos to part-time legislatures, because that allows us to draw from a bigger spectrum of people to represent us.
Well, you know, and you spoke about the importance of Wendy on your decision to become involved in politics and government and public service. And you often refer to yourself as Wendy's husband when we're out in public. So I think that those of us that know you know that Wendy is as much a partner and a part of your life and your public service as you are. But you know, I think what has always impressed me, not just your interest in health issues, but your dedication and devotion to veterans and to veteran affairs. And I know last summer came up to Angola to be a part of the Memorial Highway dedication. Can you tell us why your interest in veterans? Although thank you for your service. I know that you served us and served our country in the Korean War, but even beyond that, why the interest and why your dedication to veterans?
Well, thank you for that opportunity. I was inducted into the Army back in 1969. The Vietnam War was going on. I was stationed on the Korean DMZ, and the major hostilities were over, but they considered it the quiet war, meaning a lot of it wasn't reported what was going on because there was more of the information of the Vietnam, which the country, and there was a lot of turmoil. I saw let's say the reception that the troops received. I was personally involved when we came back. The country was not in favor of the war by the time it ended, but we as service members were just doing our job. And I think you'll find out there's a lot of Vietnam veterans that still have a bad taste in their mouth. Fortunately, they advocated for veterans later on, whether it was Desert Storm or any of the Middle East conflicts. So most people respect the service members. You see that at the airports where they give them priority boarding and everything. I was back in the time when you just soon not wear your uniform because it didn't make things go smoothly for you. I did, subsequent to that time in the Army, I did serve in the Air Force for 13 years. So my wife and I both, and believe me, it's a partnership. When you're married, your spouse and your children are part of this. And knowing what we went through and some of the hurdles that we may have had to try and make life as normal as you would hope, even though you're assigned to multiple bases and move quite rapidly, I just have a kindred spirit for veterans and a lot of issues that make sense. And Wendy has brought several of them to my attention. We're working on one right now where spouses a lot of times have careers too. And you move from state to state and they're licensed in one state and then run into hurdles trying to get relicensed in another state. They shouldn't be at the bottom of the pile, should be prioritized. And if they're a licensing board in, let's say, New Jersey, where we were at Fort Dix for a while, when we moved back to Indiana, her x-ray technician license should be accepted and moved forward with minimal hassle instead of major. And we have done some legislation to facilitate that, and we will keep doing that in the future.
Well, thank you for your service and your dedication to honoring those who have given up so much so that we can sit here and have a legislature and have freedom of speech. So thank you for that. And in closing, tell our listeners something about Denny Zent that they may not know.
Well, they probably would not know that I felt like I always wanted to be a budding baseball star. And I played through the school years up until the high school time. The military took me away and I came back, and for one brief shining season when I was discharged from the Army in 1972, I tried out and made the baseball team. Then was IPFW, now it's Purdue University in Fort Wayne, and had what I considered my best season ever. Multiple things happened. I was opportunity to start out, and I was the old guy on the team because of my military time, about 3 years older than everybody else. Started, as the coach told me, he says, I'll give you a uniform, but don't expect to play. By the end of the year, I was a starting center fielder, leadoff batter, and
I love it.
And did very well.
I love it.
I wish I could have continued, but at that time, we had our first child, and you know how things go in school, job and income trumped basically playing baseball.
Well, there you have it. The budding baseball star that never got to be. Thank you for joining us and being a part of our legislative chat with Representative Denny Zent.
Thank you.